Now 3 and change until they have to make the pick. What do you think they're going to do? What do you think they should do?
Nerlens Noel, get you
Let's
a
go.
protector in the Eastern Conference. He's not going to be healthy to play until December, which gives you flexibility with Anderson Varejao up front. To now possibly
That's what you got to worry about when you got the first pick of the draft.
Together. You can't have enough
Sam mindset.
big guys, Jay, that can block shots, change into the
So
floor,
true.
and be productive.
I'd like to point out that if they did take Nerlens Noel, it would have been a better pick than what they ended up doing.
He
So.
only weighs 216 pounds.
Yeah.
He's not an offensive player yet. Maybe he will become one. And he's injured, which how many times do we say that about a number 1 pick, that he doesn't score well and he's on crutches? You know, that's unusual.
Cook. Also true.
I would take Victor Oladipo. I think it's
King.
a safe pick.
Cook.
You know, the
Beast.
irony is they tried to trade this pick because they have 1, they have 19, they have 31, they have 33. They were looking at LaMarcus Aldridge. Portland said no. Kevin Love, Minnesota said no, thanks. And you think about Oklahoma City a year ago when they traded James Harden for what they got back, which was basically
Harden.
Jeremy Lamb, a future lottery pick, and Kevin
Let's
Martin.
go.
If they had kept James Harden, not only would they have made a run for the title, but I think they could have given a Godfather offer to Cleveland for this pick. So a little what if. Reese, you like that? A little what if.
He's awesome.
You've said at times, though, that you're not big on them picking.
He hasn't changed
You feel like
at
trying
all.
to hit
It's
a home
amazing.
run. Why not try to hit a home run if you've got the number 1 pick?
He looks
Because they're
good.
close. Because they have Kyrie Irving as a franchise guy. Because they have Tristan Thompson and Deion Waiters. They have cap space, so they can actually get somebody, you know, whether it's a rental for 1 year or
Who
a
could it
free
be?
agent, whatever. And I
Wow.
just think Noel's too risky. The knee injury scares me. I think he's too thin. I worry about his offensive game, Jalen.
I don't think he's a risk. I think he's actually a safe pick because if you're going to go with Oladipo, he's
No, let Bill cook.
well, he's actually the perimeter.
With the
Here it
first
is.
pick in the 2013 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select
Pump fake.
Anthony Bennett of Toronto, Canada, and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Ah, he says it again. He says it twice.
Amazing.
Anthony Bennett. After
I didn't
1
know
year
he
at
double
UNLV.
load. Bill?
Simmons reaction.
So good.
Yeah.
You encourage Bill to come here.
First time I'm hearing this.
Safe. How would you rate this on the safety scale?
I thought it was a bizarre pick. Hey, you know, the only reason I'm not going to kill it is because I don't feel like there's a consensus top guy in the draft, but it's just weird because Tristan Thompson's a power forward. They already have him. They're building around him. Bennett, I don't think is a small forward. I think he's too big, and so I guess they'd have to play those two guys together. Doesn't totally make sense to me. I would have taken Oladipo if you're going to go off the radar and not take a center, Jalen.
Well, they definitely needed a wing player. So to me, if it's not Otto Porter Jr., who's a prototypical 3-man, it can be Anthony Bennett.
He's 261 pounds.
But he can play facing the basket. He has some perimeter skills. Now you have to learn to get in a defensive stance playing the forward position in the NBA.
Wanted him to go number 1 overall, so how big an impact do you think he can make with the Magic?
I love that pick for them. I thought it was great. And you look at what they built. Nikola Vucevic, Tobias
go.
Harris, who they stole from Miami for J.J.
Yep.
Redick, Mo Harkless, Aaron Aflalo, Andrew Nicholson, who looked good last year. They had the semblance of
Spitting.
This was a team that Dwight Howard was ditching them, and it looked like they were nowhere. They looked like, you know, Phoenix right now. And within 12 months, they built a good foundation.
We laugh, but having Vucevic and Tobias Harris in 2013 was like you could
legit.
You could like we have a young and you add Oladipo to that. We have a young core and we might win 50 games in a few years. That's how bad the NBA is. By the way, before he talks here, college basketball Trump.
More of an inside, 2 great guys, Darius. So I'm really happy.
And Coach, I know this is an exciting night. Don't want to take anything away from it, but how would you describe the mood at this table these last couple picks?
Boo. I mean, we're like, come on now, what's going on here? But I'm happy for the family.
I love it.
Just a great lady.
She's
they're
great.
ready for that next step. I'm happy for them.
I see how you guys done it. Really
She's a great lady. She's a great lady.
All right, Heather, about
They're running
Crushing.
the podium and take McLemore.
Oh, he won't go. Bill was not wrong here. Basically
The thing I
6'6".
liked about Michael Carter Williams, his size at the point. You don't see that too often in today's game. So he's going to actually play with the basketball, play without the
Excellent
basketball,
passer.
make guys better, as you mentioned, Jay.
We didn't learn our lesson from Evan Turner.
About him. Outside shot is shaky. Point guard to me is an alpha dog position, and I'm not sure he's an alpha dog, and that would be my fear. That
There you go, Bill.
Bill Cooking.
Not an alpha dog. He was right. By the way,
Bill Cooking.
boomer analysis for the win.
Got it. Oh,
he's having an
that is not
18-month
actually the
retirement.
Jazz. It's actually the
The
Timberwolves.
Rolling Stones didn't take this long to retire.
Don't get fired, Bill.
He's enjoyed playing to the crowd.
Don't give-
Well,
it's funny.
an omen,
Like,
an
omen.
Yeah, Jalen knew. That was like a bit until it wasn't a bit.
Yep.
With the 14th pick in the 2013 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Shabazz Muhammad.
Oof. Let Bill cook on this one.
Shabazz Muhammad, UCLA. Some controversy surrounding him. Turned out
Oh,
to be
yeah.
a little bit older than he thought at NCAA, amateurism issues, whatever you think about that, Jay.
Lied about his
At the
age.
beginning of his career at UCLA, anyway.
And we think he's going to Minnesota here. I'm not a fan, Jay.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
go.
he's pretty good. Shabazz Muhammad was the #1 high school player coming out, and there were a lot of people.
People thought he was 18.
Well, I don't know if this is
Let's
age.
go, Bill.
He's
Yeah.
always had an
I don't mind him going in the teens. I don't think he's athletic enough. Like this
Cook.
is going to sound more insulting than it's supposed to be, but he reminds me of like an unathletic James Harden. I don't think for that position he's athletic enough. I worry about the judgment too. I think it's weird that, the wrong age was out there for a year, and then when he was asked about it, we asked him about it in the job interview, and he didn't really take accountability for it. He blamed other people for it.
Let's go, Bill.
But then again, in a bad draft, pick
You
14,
can't say mean
can't say
things about
I don't
people in the
fit.
draft, even though you're right.
Jalen, I know you haven't been a fan of his in terms of being an
James
elite player,
Harden
but
is an
you're okay with him
unathletic
going
Like James Harden.
Down for Shabazz Muhammad at number 21. I just think Trey Burke, at least we know, is a good player. Like,
Cook.
worst case scenario, he's an awesome third guard. I'd just rather have him.
I just can't wait till you buy a
You know
Kelly
ball.
Olynyk jersey.
I'm not ready to talk about that pick. You'll be happy to know my dad loved it though.
Canada.
Of
has
course
been
he did.
doing- They've been dominant in this draft.
Of course your dad loved the Kelly Olynyk
Milwaukee
pick.
Bucks are on the
Simmons.
clock right now, and we're through the
I don't want to ruin the draft for everybody, but we're at the point now where you have about a 10% chance of getting a starter.
Saying
Maybe a
this right before the
15%
Giannis
chance of
pick.
getting somebody who's a nine-man
Bill, by the
rotation.
way,
But
again,
just look
to
at the drafts
reference
the
the,
last few years. I mean, there was that famous one a couple
the-
years.
What was
Bill,
that?
by the way, to reference the pod that he did right before this
Mhm.
draft, he was not just like, yeah, Giannis, interesting. They mentioned
He
Giannis
was, like,
twice on
in
the
on him.
podcast, and both times he like jumped out of his seat and was like, "That's my guy. Yeah,
He-
that's my guy."
He loved
was
Giannis. You'll hear his little
Absolutely
monologue,
in.
but it's always so funny to me that he says this right before. Now you're
Yes.
outside of the lottery. You get like a
Yes.
10% chance of getting a starter, literally right before a Hall of Famer is selected.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you wouldn't
amazing.
if you don't have the context. You think that maybe like Bill's like dissing or whatever, but no,
Right.
he's
He loved Giannis.
Bill was all in.
Here we go.
Kumbo was the guy who has no interest in being stashed, and given what we just talked about with the Bucks, they're not going to do that. You're going to have to put him in an NBA game, aren't they?
I studied him extensively. On
Let's go.
YouTube.
Let's go.
I thought he looked like a Greek Paul George. Now, he
Let's
was
go.
going against an 8th grade CYO team. But I was still really impressed by some of the stuff
He loves
was
that
doing.
line. He
Yeah.
uses it
They
like
don't let
4
you say this
times.
stuff now.
He grew 3 inches
Yeah.
in the last 12 months. Fran said if he was like a high school All-American, like he would have been one of the top 5 guys coming into college. I like the pick. Unfortunately for Milwaukee, that's a reset button. Now they're rebuilding.
But also in a market like Milwaukee.
You see the measurables, which are immense.
Here we go.
7'8" and a half wingspan.
What does the standing reach mean? He can come within 5 inches of the rim just by reaching up?
Precisely.
How did he not go higher?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like the first pick.
Let's go, Bill.
Little guys get tired.
Cook.
Big guys
Bill
get
knows what's
small.
important.
Yeah.
Bill absolutely cooked.
That's very good.
You know, when
But
we're
then,
dark,
but then had the
we
wherewithal to
make
know that
great
Mo Bamba
games
sucked
with
years
one
later,
kid
despite
just
the same
running the big guy,
measurements.
right?
That's why he's the king.
Gonna be working at the ringer.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't wanna jump
This
in
is-
front
this
of
is a
Boyd.
All-time
He's
call.
having a good
That was
time
an
with the big
all-time
guys.
call.
Trying to keep America
Size
sober.
queen,
It is
Bill.
fun.
All right. I think we can end it there. I